And we're back. We're here at the Red Door house almost a full year later. Last year we were here in March, and this time it's January. It's Aquarius season, and so we're Saturn co-ruling with Uranus, and the energy is something else. The energy this time around, I literally don't sleep until the sun comes all the way up. It's only been 2 nights. This morning, I think I went to sleep. It was after 8 a.m. for sure. It might have been 10 a.m. actually. The house is weird, just like last time. But this time, I know myself and I know what's going on for the most part. And I know what to do. So when I don't feel comfortable, or when I feel like I don't like what's happening, I know and I understand that I have the power to change it. And I also have the power to focus my energy and attention, right? So like if I am unconsciously focusing my energy and attention on things that I don't want, then I'm gonna get more of that. But if I focus my energy and attention on things that I do want, then I will get more of that. So this past 2 days have been kind of like a purge for me in a way, where it's like a resurfacing of habits that I don't love, that I'm like, oh yeah, these are not working for me, these are not helpful. And so now, the 3rd day, I'm like, okay, time to take our own advice. And time to shift what I'm allowing to happen and take my power back, you know? I'm coming to that acknowledgement, realization, awareness, and I plan to make conscious changes to what I'm experiencing. And, really take advantage of this time as the portal that it is, because the thing about Aquarius season and energy for me, and the thing about every season, like, you know, these astrological seasons are run or ruled by the sun, and that's why it's Aquarius season, because the sun is in Aquarius, right? So what I've been noting every season since pretty much last March, since I was last here in front of this door, and I was saying that I could feel I was on the threshold of something. I felt like I was right at the edge of a different version of me, and I was scared because I didn't know what that version of me was like, and if I would like myself, and if I would be if I would be evil, if I would be bad, if I would be a sinner, if I would be all of these things that I had been pretty much programmed to fear about myself. So I was just scared of myself. I was scared of me. I was scared of who I really was. And now that I'm at the point of where I am with who I really am, because I still don't feel like I'm fully me yet, because there are parts that I'm still like unearthing, and it's amazing and I love it, and I'm like so adamant about it not being work, because it's really just like a rekindling of relationship with self, with myself, with myself. And if that's work, like, who wants to do it? You know what I mean? Like, shadow work is all well and good. However, I see the benefit in calling it something else, because for me personally, I understand the need for hard work because I'm settling into my Saturn energy. And also at the same time, like, my Saturn is in Pisces, and so I know now what I didn't quite quite understand then that the power comes from within, and how much can be decided. You know, like the doses can be decided. This is what boundaries are for. They are not necessarily to protect. They are to protect, but like that's not just what they're for. It's like so that there is a appropriate measure and dose of everything. It's to really keep things grounded. It's to keep things in order. It's to keep things of the earth aspect that Pisces energy doesn't really do. It's very watery. It's watery and cosmic. Like, I think the Jupiter co-rulership is really like, it makes it steamy, like it's fire. Jupiter's fire, or Jupiter rules Sag, and so I think of Jupiter energy as more fiery than it is watery. And when you add that when you add that fire, that Jupiter fire to the Neptune water, it's just like, how is it not steam? You know? And when you think of steam, it's like, besides the fact like Neptune is the ocean, like boundless, it covers how much of our planet? More than 80%, I think. You know, and it's so deep, it's like you have no idea where it ends. On top of that, you add fire to it, and you will get this dense air that starts to rise, this steam. And steam goes everywhere. Like, steam is like air. Steam is the airier part or version of water. So, like, I think of Pisces energy like that, like steam, like permeable. And you know, it is one of the mutable signs, so yeah, it makes sense to kind of think of it like that. So anyway, I'm saying all of that to say, like, having no understanding of Saturn energy when your Saturn is in Pisces can feel very destabilizing. And my Saturn is also retrograde in Pisces, and so it just felt like a lot of outward energy, or a lot of energy that I was sending out, and always sending out, and I did not at all understand how to pull it in and how to control it. And I'm settling into that now, so I'm understanding that gives me power, being able to control my energy and intend it and will it to be experienced in certain ways and through certain measures, because I affect it, right? So I don't know, it's kind of like, it's a dope feeling to be back here almost a full year later, and to be so different but not, because I understand that the threshold was really just layers. It was peeling of layers that were no longer serving me, and that were fogging up my mirror to myself. So being able to see myself so much more clearly is just like, it's a beautiful feeling, and it just has me it has me grateful. It has me really appreciative of this process, and, you know, learning to love the journey, because it is a journey. And when I think of things like that, this is why I call it shadow altering and the altering effect, because it's like, yes, the idea of shadow work, it's really beneficial. It is. However, I've had so many people that I've experienced that seemed to understand that there was a benefit to shadow work, but was having some type of block. And as I talked to them and, you know, experienced their experiences with them and kind of held space for their experiences, as I was experiencing and going through my own things, it was very clear to me that they were doing shadow work and didn't know and didn't realize. And it's like unintentionally, you know what I mean? And the thing about shadow work is, what makes it shadowy is the unintentional aspect of it, the very subconscious aspect of it, because that's where the shadows lie. That's where they live. That's where they exist, in the unconscious and the subconscious and the suppressed and the repressed, in the dark. And when you shine light on that, like when you can visibly see that those energies, those versions and parts of yourself, like you give them warmth, you know, you kind of like defrost them and you recommission them and you let them know that, hey, come home, you know, like come back to me. And that's all they really want, you know what I mean? And so like some way, somehow, the messaging of doing shadow work has become this very like in a way Saturnian thing. And I have nothing against Saturn energy. I have nothing against Capricorn energy. Actually, last season, Capricorn season, grew to fall in love with my Capricorn. She's a royal bitch. They both are. It was really fun digging up old emails to try to find like the sources and credits for the photos that I put in one of the last videos where I was like doing styling work, and reading these emails that I sent to people, I was just like, oh my god, wow, I was so cold. Like, oh, I felt really bad and almost embarrassed, like kind of like a secondhand embarrassment. And then I released that really quickly because I realized, like, bro, you didn't know I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I did not know what I was doing. But I had a vision and I had an idea and I saw that it was working. So I kept refining it. And that's exactly how my 6th house, my Capricorn ruled house is. It's refining, you know? It's Virgo energy. So that's what I did. And now that I know that part of myself, and I know, like, one of my friends said, there's no shadow, but there's shade. And I love that because, like, I consider certain placement, certain aspects, certain, like, you know, like Lilith and like Chiron and like my descendant and my 8th house, Scorpio ruled house, my 12th house, like I consider those, and you know, house that Pluto's in, those are the places where the shadows are, like the very potent shadows. But just because there are no potent shadows in a placement does not mean there's no shade. And my Capricorn 6th house is shady as fuck. Oh, she's so shady. It's kind of funny because now that I know, and now that I like kind of got a grasp on that energy, because like my mood boards helped me so much to have a visual in mind when I'm like trying to almost conjure up these parts of myself. So now that I understand and I have a sense of this energy, like literally it is Miranda from The Devil Wears Prada. It is Myrtle Snow from like American Horror Story Coven. Like, yeah, she's giving that. And there are other stuff going on in there, like Neptune and Uranus retrograde, and like, you know, some Aquarius energy, but like it's very Saturn ruled. And so like not understanding that energy for what it was made it so that it was very hard for me to fully utilize it and also really appreciate it. But now that I understand it so much better, I love it. Like, oh my god, last season I just kept saying, like in Capricorn season, I just kept saying, oh my god, I love my Capricorn, I love her. And it's really them, but like they're so fun. Oh my god, they're so fun in like the most read you to filth way. And it's just funny to know that that exists in me. And it's even funnier slash like lovelier to be able to be like, hey, can you come through? Because I need to have a serious conversation with this person, and they have already crossed the line with me multiple times. I need to set the record straight with them. And once Mercury moved into Capricorn, it was like, yeah, no problem, I'm coming through. And I was like, oh wow, all right, you know. And so like that's just been my experience every season, where it's like as the planets shift into this sign, I get a hold of this energy and I'm like, oh, that's where that comes from. Oh, that's how it wants to be like manifested, and that's how it wants to be felt and expressed. Got it. That's who you are there in this area of life. Got it. Okay, no problem, you know. And excuse me, one of the things that I was sharing with one of the lovely women that I met with to do a shadow placements reading, we were talking about her Lilith, and I've been, personally for me, reconnecting with my own Lilith energy. And in that reading with this woman, I learned and understood that we, you know, all of us, as we learn what Lilith wants from each and every one of us, like our own personal Lilith placements, and like how her archetype is literally being shunned and exiled and rejected and pretty disrespected as well. That this part of us is very like primal in nature, very natural and instinctual, even intuitive, especially in certain signs. But like she needs something from us, and most of us, our parts, need something from us. They need a place they need an outlet, right? But like I find that to be especially true for Lilith, and I really saw it in that reading, that like, oh, and I said it, I was like, your Lilith needs her place. Like you need to find where she is accepted in your life. Like where do you ask her to come? If you don't ask her, you know, or you don't like give her space and room to be like, hey, this is your area, this is your realm, go crazy, go wild, you're free here, then she's going to seek freedom elsewhere and everywhere. And that's when we have these like pieces of us, this fragmentation, this like, you know, unintegrated energy where we're like dissociated, where we're all over the place, where we're a hot mess, where we can't do what we want for ourselves and for our life because we're not focusing our energy and harnessing it in ways that we desire, right, for our intended purposes. And so in that reading, I said that to her, and like, you know, she was getting visions of it as we were talking about what she was feeling, what she was moving through, how energies show up like in this sign and in this house, and how it could have been for her. And she was kind of like, connecting the dots of the experiences that she was having based off what I said. Because, you know, I'm literally saying, well, if it's in this house, this is where it's gonna manifest most. And if it's in this sign, this is how it's gonna feel. And she was like, whoa, yeah, oh my God, yeah, that's what it's like. And as she was accepting that, like admitting that, and like turning her focused and like shining light on those areas in her life, she started to see things in her mind's eye. And she was like, oh, I can see myself like this, and it's like that. And at first it was like very off-putting. She was very uncomfortable, you can tell. And I was just like, well, let's kind of shift our perspective on that, because what you're saying sounds a certain way if you look at it this way, right? If we're looking at it through societal eyes of like the expectations that our capitalistic patriarchal society has on us, right? Then of course what you see is going to be scary and going to be like, oh my God, this, no. But wait a second, hold space and think about it. Where is this acceptable? Like what physical building or what physical space, what circumstances is this energy okay? And we found that, right? Without like giving too much, because, you know, this is her personal experience. So like when she found that, she started to see and have different experiences of it. Like she started to note the expressions and like the tangible feeling of like joy, because this part of her felt accepted and felt free to do what it really wanted to do, and she felt happier. And it was like, yeah, that makes sense. You would, like, why not? It's like a child, it's like a, that's like, and this happened to me. This actually happened to me. I was 5 years old. I had paint, and I was like painting something. I don't know what the fuck. I was painting something on the floor of my room. And around being 5 years old, I don't remember this, but my mom recounted this enough times for me to know like that was the story, where like we were told to draw something in kindergarten, and I came home with my paper, and like the teacher was like, I was really good at drawing. My mom's like, wow, you are really good at this. Like you have a inclination towards art. And so she tried to encourage it. And I have a bit of a rebellious side. And so like I had my paints and I had my paper where I was allowed to paint, and I was done, and my paper was used up, and I still had a lot of paint, and I went to wash my hands off and wash the paint down the sink, and I was just like, this is a waste. There's so much paint left. And I like started playing with it in my hands and being really tangible with it, very like Venusian, very Taurus energy with the senses and everything like that. It's my midheaven, makes sense. And so I'm like mixing up the paints and like touching it with my hands, and my hands are all covered. So I'm like, oh, well, what's next best part of my body? Like my hands, my feet. Let me cover my feet. I covered my feet in the paint, and there was still paint left on the palette. So I was like, oh, what a waste. What else can I do? And I looked at the wall, and I was like, oh, ooh, handprint, nice. Footprint, nice. And I just started hand and footprinting the walls with the leftover paint. And the bathroom wall where I could reach, because I was, again, 5, I was really short and young, where I could reach was covered. So I left the bathroom and I started going into the hallway, and I started going up and down the stairs, and I got my ass beat, because that's not where I was supposed to be painting. But I needed an outlet, you know? And so like it's like how we are understanding overall that gentle parenting is showing children where they can put that, you know? Like just not telling children, stop what you're doing, don't do that. Because personally for me, and I really do think this is like Gemini related, like having ADHD and, you know, those types of neurodivergencies, I do really feel like it's connected to an abundance of certain energies that if they are not being sourced in the right way, become an overload. Because it's like, well, where is it gonna go? And I had suppressed my Gemini energy, and so it was like it was overflowing always. And when in Gemini's communication, when people communicate to me not to do something but don't tell me what they want me to do instead, and also what I had to learn for myself is that I needed examples through relation. My third house is ruled by Libra, right? This is also Gemini rules the third house. So this is communication. I need you to communicate to me in a relatively, like, in a relational way, where like you're telling me how this affects me and how this affects you, so that I understand, oh, what I'm doing is doing this to you, and what you want me to do, right, will do this to you instead, right? And how is that affecting me as well? And okay, got it. So when I do this, you don't like it because this is how you're experiencing it. Okay. Because, you know, just because you have like maybe a good amount of Pisces energy doesn't mean you always know how to use it. So yeah, okay, you can feel, you're empathetic, you know people don't feel good, but then you have a different experience of life, right? So I'm attaching my experiences to your feelings that I'm feeling, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's true, that what story I'm attaching to your feelings is what you are actually experiencing through your feelings. So in any case, what I'm saying is, I love the parents. Oh my God. I'm about, like, I feel myself getting emotional because I want to cry, because I'm like, I love you guys, you parents that are taking the time to show your children what you want from them instead. Like, hey, no, let's not do that. This is better. This instead. This is what you can do. This is how to use this. Not on the kitchen table, over here in the playroom. Isn't it better? And yeah, you might have a child that's like extra rebellious, but like, you just have to understand what to do with that energy, right? They are rebellious because they see, maybe they have like a lot of Uranus energy, maybe they have a lot of Aquarian energy, maybe it's because they can see where innovation, right, needs to happen, where it needs to take place, and they think that there are more efficient ways to do things. I did not want to waste my paint. Right? And so I was prioritizing the paint over the clean house. All I needed to know was that there was another place to put this paint, you know? I didn't know. And also I didn't know how to express that, but we're learning. Every generation we're getting better. We are. If you own that, it'll be true. And so my mom did the best she could because her mom did the best she could. And her mom did the best she could, right? It's my turn. And so I know from my experience that that's not an ideal way to handle the situation. And so I'll do better because it's my turn now. So in any case, I'm saying that to say we are much more powerful than we realize. And it's always going to be that message. It's always going to be that message, because it is true that when you stand as one, you're more so like walking, and standing as thousands. Your standing is so much more, so many more, and so many greater, right? Like our lower self, like our shadow, our flat 2D version of self is literally just in the dark. When light is shined on them, they pretty much become us. They become one with us. Because we, 3D beings, have access to that high vibrational light and that low density, right? That shadow. And so we are in between both of them. But if we're only aspiring to one and not accepting the other, it's like a tree. Like, as long as you want the tree to be tall and strong, the roots got to go real deep. If you're out here like forsaking the roots, wanting to be tall, what's gonna happen when a storm blows through town? You're gonna fall right over. What kind of tree is useful then? You're actually more likely to cause damage and harm to everything and everyone around you, you know? So it's the same. We're the same. Like, everything in our known universe is a reflection of us. Everything. I'm so adamant about that because I can't not see it. And you know, Aquarius season is really influencing my descendant and my higher self and my channel energy. So like, I have, oh my God, my dreams have been crazy, but I have been channeling a lot, and I need to show up more and share more because I have so much to say. And I think it's good because being a Leo, in the way that I am, sometimes we can become self-absorbed, where it's like we're absorbed in our insecurities, and so we don't want to show up because we want to look and present ourselves a certain way, because you know, Leos are also used to being projected out in a way where you look a certain way, you seem a certain way, so people expect you to act a certain way. And maybe you do without trying, because your confidence is kind of natural, even though it's you're pretty insecure, you know what I mean? And so like having that experience is just, it makes you super careful how you want to show up. But I feel like in this Aquarius energy, I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm here for it. I want to fully be submerged into it, because it's like, it's not about me, it's about us, it's about we. And so like, I don't feel the pressure to show up a certain way. I could care less. And the 0 F's to give that Aquarius has, like, oh, I love tapping into that energy. You know, I gotta be real, because like it's in the 7th house, so it's like sometimes I'm like that in relationships and people are like, oh, it makes it kind of worse, because it's like, oh, you show up like that and you act like that, ew. But it's really just being detached enough to see more, like the bird's eye view, you know, be able to be observant. And yeah, I can't even say it any better than that. So anyway, every energy has its strengths and weaknesses, and it's just like time we own that. The more you own that you're weak here, the less it hurts when people call you out on it, because it's like, yeah, I am. There's nothing to hide, you know? And I think a lot of this, I love the term unmasking, but a lot of this need for authenticity is really just accountability and owning your shit, like owning your flaws. Because how else would we be? You know, we are perfectly flawed. That's what makes us humans. And I think, you know, South Node in Virgo really gives us opportunity to release the unattainable aspiration of perfection. It's not a real thing. It's not the way that we have perceived it to be. We are already perfect, or else we wouldn't have existed. Like we've been created as our perfect self, because we can't have the experiences that we're having as someone else. We would be someone else having those experiences. Like we are perfectly us, so that we can have the journey and experiences that we have. I am perfectly me, Adjanaye, so that the life that I've lived and experienced could be my journey. And the more that I continue to evolve into a different, more accepted, self-accepted version of me, I'm still perfect then. Perfect for that journey, perfect for that process. I am perfectly myself, you know? And so like if we look at perfection like that, it's so much more freeing. And so I'm gonna go, because it's getting pretty chilly over here. But I loved the aesthetic of the red door the first time, and I just felt like, you know, we gotta bring it back. Maybe you'll see me again next year.